Welcome, class, to this week's Mountview Live. I hope you're well. Hope you are staying safe and focused and healthy. If you're back in a building, I hope that's going very, very well for you. If you are still at home, hope that's equally cool. Don't be worrying about if everyone else looks like they're super creative and productive and you feel maybe like you're not. That's cool. The main thing is your well-being and the creativity that flows from your well-being. So stay well, stay safe, we need you. This week's guest, everyone is super excited about here at Mountview, for obvious reasons when you find out who it is. She is an extraordinary artist whose career encompasses a massive range of different kinds of characters and different kinds of platforms: film, TV, theatre, comedy, radio, you name it, she does it. Multi-award winning actress. And I think anyone who is performing or involved in performing arts at this time, whether it's movies or theatre, knows her work and has enjoyed her work. So I know you're all very excited that she's taken time out of a very busy schedule to come and join us and share some of her experiences with us. So I will simply introduce and say, please welcome Olivia Colman. Welcome. Hello, Olivia.
Hi, Giles. Thank you. That was a lovely.
No, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Like, the students are so excited.
Oh.
I mean, I know you do this, you know, you get asked to do a lot of things and you speak to a lot of people. So we're really appreciative that you can come and talk to us.
Oh, I'm thrilled you asked me. Thank you very much.
Now, normally what I would do is just jump straight into some opening questions from me, just to try and get a sense of where you came into training, into your drama training. But we've got a whole load of really good questions from our students that kind of covered what I was going to ask anyway. So I kind of want to get to them quickly, but I will ask first of all, what your hopes were when you went into drama training. What did you hope to get out of it?
I think, to be really honest, I think deep down, I secretly harboured and didn't tell anyone. I thought, I wonder if I can really do well out of it. But my main hope was just to work. I wanted to put actor on my passport and it to be true. And to, you know, I always worked as a temp as well. I always did jobs on the side to keep my head above water, but I just wanted to get to the point where my income was from acting work. And my very secret dream was maybe one day win a BAFTA, or maybe do, you know, that, which I was a bit embarrassed to say out loud to anyone, but mainly I wanted to work. Yeah.
And was it how did you get to drama school did you go straight from school and college and stuff? Was it something you pursued, or did the teacher help you? How did you end up getting there?
Well, I don't come from an artisty background. And so when I did my first school play when I was 16, and it was the first time I felt like I'd been good at something, I was so rubbish at school. And sort of, you know, not badly behaved, but just not flying. And not very academic. And it was, you know, it was a bit, oh God, what am I going to do when I leave school? And then found this thing that I adored and didn't know if I could do it professionally. I didn't know if you had to come from that place or, you know, how to do it. And my mum said, it's all who you know. Well, I'm screwed because I don't know anyone. But she wasn't right about that. And thankfully, what were we saying? Then
what was your journey into? Yeah.
And so from there, I just kept doing every play I could, auditioned for every play at school, and then went to do teacher training college after school, and which was in the town of Cambridge. It wasn't part of the university. I think it might be now, but it certainly wasn't then, because I got very bad A-levels and went to this. And just sort of gave up on my studies, or I didn't tell anyone that I wasn't part of the university. I cycled around and pretended I was a student because I looked the same as everyone else, you know, same age and everything, had a bike, and just auditioned for every play going and had an absolute ball. And it was there meeting other kids at uni. And they went, well, we're going to try for drama school. I went, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know I could. Don't know why I didn't know that, but and so I didn't straight away because I didn't have the funds. And my boyfriend, who I'd met there, who's now my husband, he got into. He was going to do something very sensible, and he didn't want to. So I said, "Come with me. Let's go and be artists together." Okay. So he applied to Bristol Old Vic and got in. And I said, I'll follow you, and I'll work as a temp, and I'll keep us all going, keep us both going. And then I was so jealous. Once he got there, he was having such a ball. So I went, right, I'm doing it. So I applied the next year and got in. And so we overlapped for a year while we were there. And I just did as many jobs as I could to keep it all going.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So now I'm just going to jump into some questions from our students.
Okay.
And they'll sort of move a little bit around from when you're sort of further in your career, or maybe some of them refer back to drama school, but they're all really cool questions. First one is from Cade, who's one of our first year students. And he asks, how do you handle moments where you have fear or doubt that creep into your work?
Ooh. I know these questions are all going to be amazing. They're going to be so much better than any journalist questions.
That's why I was like, these are good, because this is what they want to know.
That's a really hard one, because I do get that quite a lot. The last time I really felt, well, stage fright, for example, was Mosquitoes at the National, and I hadn't been on stage for a long time, even though it was in the lovely Dorfman Theatre, heavenly place to work. But also, the more work I've done over the years, and the more I think there's further to fall. I didn't want, I thought people were coming, and the thought that I would dry or was extra scary. And that's, I think, wrong of me, because I think audiences are really on your side. If they've got off their asses and they've gone to the theatre, they understand what it is.
Yeah.
I know when I've watched someone sort of dry on stage, I go, I'm with them. And it reminds me, this is live, this is exciting.
Right.
But you forget that when you're on the other side of it. But they had a hypnotherapist at the theatre at the night. So I went and had sessions and tried to learn, and because it was in the round, which was quite nice. So I was stepping into a safe circle whenever I stepped on stage. That's what it was, a safe place, and all these lovely little techniques to try and help me get through it. So that was stage fright. But I also have fear quite a lot in jobs I accept, and then I think I can't do it. I've done enough more than I could do.
Yeah.
And that's a harder one. I suppose it depends who you're with, and if I like to feel that I can trust a director, and they won't lead you off down some stupid path where you feel really.
Yeah.
That's an amazing question, and I'm not entirely sure how to answer that.
Yeah, well, I think you have brilliantly, because it's a question that comes up a lot with our students is fear on different levels. You know, going into an audition, that fear of like, okay, you've prepared and you've done the thing, and but you still got to sort of walk into that room and you don't know who you're going to meet, and or fear of going into on day one of rehearsals.
Yeah. Do you know?
Thing of meet and greet, and
I once sat in on auditions for a drama school, and it was really great being able to sit on that side.
Yeah.
And to go, there were so many people who were so brilliant, but some overlap, some are too similar, and some. I mean, oh my God, this is what it's like for casting directors and people. But one of the main things I learned is to go in and be someone that everyone would want to work with, because nobody wants to. So if you go in, you smile, you're a nice person. That already gets you quite.
Yeah.
Because they'll think they were both brilliant. This one, I don't think I can cope with the moods, but this one seems like a really nice company player.
Exactly. Yeah. I've heard that said before, and I think it's something which is really good for our students, because that can be the difference. That can be the difference in whether you get a job or not, or whether you know, and who knows what that will lead to. So thank you for that. There's another bit to Kate's question, which is, what is your process when approaching extremely emotional scenes?
Now, this will be
as the one you had in Broadchurch, which he says you were incredible in.
Oh, Kate.
So yeah, approaching extremely emotional scenes. I guess maybe it depends on which one or what the medium is, but
yeah, I don't have a process, so I am very emotionally raw. So if something's sad, I cannot hold it in, which is not always helpful. So the script for Broadchurch, I was a police officer, and it said that I was strong, quite strong. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to stop for myself because this is so sad. So that's not necessarily helpful for someone's written someone, you know, who's stoic. For example, in The Crown, during the episode where they went to Aberfan, to the terrible disaster in Wales, the Queen doesn't cry, and I had to have an earpiece to play the shipping forecast in my ear. So that I was just trying to not look at anyone's faces, trying not to look at sad faces, not think about what's happening, but just listening to South at Sierra, North at Sierra, fair to middling, just to try and shut out what was happening. So I don't have a process. It's just if it's sad, and yeah.
But what's interesting from that, hearing you say that, is that for our students is that they're not necessarily always times where, you know in that situation that how Olivia would respond is not necessarily how the character respond, and sometimes it's easier for us to kind of indulge in our emotions, whatever it be, but it's sad when it's the other way, whereas actually the discipline of going, actually no, this is what's required at this moment, I think is a useful thing to hear. Anyway,
I feel better about the earpiece. Okay, that's great.
Adam asks, what skills have you taken from your early work in sketch shows and sitcoms into the roles in more serious dramas?
Ooh. I don't know. I think there's something lovely about a grounding in comedy. There's some more serious. I don't know. I love a little bit of a dollop of comedy in many of the things I do, and I don't know if it's something I could put my finger on, but it's something that, if with that sort of years of doing that in the first place, I can't really shake it. And I think when something is terribly traumatic, it actually has a stronger impact if you've just made someone laugh beforehand. It sort of takes the rug out from under your feet. So I think there's room for it, and I have no idea what skills there are that I've kept
taken from that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm really pleased that I had those years in comedy, because I think it weirdly does help.
Thanks, Adam. Toby, another one of our first years, asks, did you always want to act? I mean, you've kind of touched on this. Did you always want to act? And if you didn't act, what would you have done?
Well, I did. I felt like there was something I wanted to do and I hadn't found it yet until 16, when I went, oh my God, I was so lucky. So lucky to know what I wanted to do, because lots of my mates from school, sort of, they had a wobble and they had to sort of change sort of in their 20s or 30s or even 40s. They realized they weren't doing the right thing. So I feel very grateful I found what I wanted to do from 16. And that's all I wanted from then on, really. And first few years after drama school, I really struggled to find work. And I did wonder if I might go and be a nurse. So I was a rubbish waitress. I had a cleaning job for a very long time. I liked that very much. But I thought maybe something slightly more emotionally fulfilling to get me going through to the rest of my days. So my mum was a nurse.
Right. Oh, mine too.
Yeah. Oh, really? And or midwifery, but then after I had my first child, I thought if acting work dries up for me, I'd like midwifery, but I'm not sure. Obviously, with nursing or midwifery, something sad will happen at some point, and I'm not sure how strong I'd be.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Oscar. Oscar's one of our second years, and he asked, I mean, you've kind of touched on this slightly. Did you have a particular plan for your career? Was there one particular thing you wanted to do as an actor above all else? I guess that end of it is.
Yeah.
One particular thing that you wanted to aim at. I mean, you.
It's all worked out quite nicely, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that at the beginning of the conversation you started out saying would be a little bit of a dream, you've kind of surpassed that, which is amazing.
I feel really, really lucky and blessed. But I think even I wanted to work, and I was working. I was getting work in comedy, and I loved it, and I loved the people I was working with. But I also really wanted to do something really gritty and snotty and really feeling everything, and I was never given that chance. And until meeting Paddy Considine on Hot Fuzz, of all films, we met, and he decided I was the one for his film for Tyrannosaur. Well, it was a short film initially, and he was the one that gave me a massive break. Took a bit of a gamble, and that, I think that part was the part I'd always wanted to play. If I was really honest, I'd always wanted. I was never seen as that girl, as the serious drama, but I was so thrilled when someone decided,
believed in you. The question that I often ask in these conversations is, which you've just reminded me of, is can you name 3 people without whom Olivia Colman, the artist, wouldn't necessarily be here, who've inspired you professionally?
Wow.
Talking about Paddy just made me think, maybe he's one of them.
Paddy is absolutely. God, I've got just 3.
Oh, well, you could, I mean, as many as you like.
Well, Rob Webb and David Mitchell gave me most of my work for the first few years, and without them, I wouldn't have met other people. And Paddy and Yorgos Lanthimos. I mean, that was a whole other sort of step. So having said earlier, it's not, it is sort of, you get your work, but you do sort of meet people, and there are some amazing actors who don't get asked back because they don't behave very nicely. I think that sort of ties in with what we said earlier, but don't be an asshole and be appreciative of what you've got, I think is quite important.
Listen to those words. Listen to those words. Joshua Jones says, famously, you've stated in interviews that you don't really have a process or do much preparation or research prior to a role. With that in mind, what did you take from your time at Bristol Theatre School, when obviously a lot of the training would have been directed towards forming a process? But I think it's a really interesting.
I hope my kids aren't watching. It sort of felt, I believe, if the script is good enough, it's there. Do you know what I mean? If I had to play someone with an obvious skill, I wouldn't want it to look like I didn't know what I was doing. I'd do some work in that respect. But if I'm for what I'm feeling, it's already there. And having experienced love, once you got that under your belt, you sort of can imagine the pain of it not being there. If you can, that's kind of like, it feels like the most important thing to have felt. And see, I feel emotional, the idea of it not being there. So I think, yes, I just feel things very, very strongly and deeply. So I don't really, I would obviously do some work if I had to look like a blacksmith or anything. But it always felt like that a good writer has done the work for me, and trust them, say the lines. And also, obviously, if it was an accent, I would do some work on that. But do you know what I mean? I think some people do too much work and then can't let it go. And sometimes you can see that work rather than it naturally with them. Yeah, I think I would be the worst teacher, wouldn't I?
No.
I really was.
Well, no. I think, I mean, I'm understanding exactly what you're saying. I'm getting a lot from what you're saying. I'm sure our students are. Because don't you find that you learn so much by observing other people and watching other people and seeing, rather than necessarily, of course, we can do
reacting anyway. So yeah, listening and naturally responding to what you've just heard, which is all watching other people and
yes.
Yeah. You're right.
So yeah, this is great. Patricia says, who's one of our first years, says, you've built a career on playing a broad range of weird and wonderful characters. Who's been your favourite, if you can say that? Yeah. Or a list, or, you know, if you can't say one, maybe like a few.
Oh, I did love Broadchurch. Oh God, what's her name? I've forgotten her name. Ellie Miller. I just loved her sort of ballsy, the way she answered back, the way she was devoted to her community. She was really fun to play. And there was one character I played on a sketch show who was a really posh woman in jodhpurs, and I think I said one line, and my husband and I have said it to each other. Sort of, she says sugar lumps or something. I just really, those silly little characters I really enjoyed, and I loved Queen Anne because she had a little bit of everything to play, and I got to put on 2 stone to play her, which was really fun. Really horribly easy. And Doris Thatcher in Hot Fuzz. She was fun.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Where are we? And Amy. Hope that was cool, Patricia. Amy says, what's the best, you might need a little bit of time, or maybe not. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given as an actor?
Oh,
best piece of advice.
That's hard, isn't it? I'm going to do a massive name drop.
Yeah.
On with Anthony Hopkins, and that's a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, he says and I totally agree with him. Says, just be well behaved, know your lines, turn up on time, and just be the nicest person you can be. And I think that's really important. And I've heard that time and time again from actors who I admire, who are nice people, who are amazing at what they do. And I think, I would say, learn your lines, try and know everyone's name, be on time. And there's the odd actor and I hear all the chat, they're sort of 20 minutes late getting in their car. There's a million people who will have your job in a second, and and probably more people than that who are better than you. So it's take your job seriously and not yourself. Know your lines, turn up, be nice to everyone.
Boom. Emily, one of our first years, says, what else would you still like to achieve in the future, acting-wise? Is there anyone you'd love to work with, or any roles you'd love to play?
Oh, I would like to keep working.
That'd be good.
That's really, I would like to do that. My goddess, Judi Dench, has just celebrated her
86.
86, yeah. And she's still knocking it out the park whenever she turns up on anything.
Yeah.
I could be anything like her, I'd die very, very happy.
Mm.
I think to be respected amongst my peers would be is a goal, and I hope to sort of keep doing that until I'm old. I'd love to. I don't really want to have to retire,
Mm.
and yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to roles. I don't know. I'd like to try and do something different each time, and I know that's not always possible, but that would be a dream. In my dream, a little bit of everything, and a little bit different each time would be nice.
I have a question.
Oh.
Which is from what you were talking about in terms of a few questions back about your approach and your I'm sensing a kind of instinctive approach to a character and a feel of a character. One of the questions I was thinking is a lot of our students now are it seems to me have so much on their plate, more than I did when I graduated 20 years ago as an actor. You know, there's rejection and there's disappointment and all that kind of stuff. But now there's social media and there's the expectation of image, body image, and all these kind of things that I have to deal with. And so the question I have is, what is the question? The question is, can you think of times when your instinct, either on screen or on stage, off stage, has really helped you? Because I think a lot of the time when I'm talking to students, they say, okay, what do we do about this? What about do about that? And I say, well, your instincts are really good. And if something doesn't feel right in a certain situation, maybe, you know, listen to those instincts. And I think that's all. Then I think, oh, well, that's all well and good to say, but it's good to see maybe examples of when actually, do you know what? I listened to my instinct in that situation and it really paid off, whether it's to take a job or to work with someone or about a character or, and because you've had such an amazing range of things, I'm just wondering, can you think of any times where you're listening to your instinct has really paid off?
I think the thing is, some instincts come from your. Am I allowed to swear?
I think so. Yeah, I think we swear.
From the pop-ups you make early on, then you can develop some really strong instincts afterwards. So I now know I did one job and I had some instincts that I didn't trust them, but I did it, and I should have listened to my instincts then. But because I did it and I was right, it was awful. I now have very strong sort of spidey, tingly, I don't trust type feelings. And I would advise anyone, if you start to feel like they're spinning you a yarn or they're not telling the truth, or you know, get it written down, talk to someone, let someone know how you're feeling. And yeah, your instincts are very important. And also instincts are so hard to follow sometimes when you're going, this is an opportunity. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And my career would have gone in the same direction had I not done that particular job, but you don't know that.
Right.
At that gate. Right. And but I did end up, yeah, I don't know, that I wish I hadn't done it. I wish I'd listened to my instincts. But
you learned from it, so I guess that's the other thing as well.
I did learn from it, and now my instincts are even stronger. But what was I was going to say something else. I can't remember what it was.
Maybe it'll come back. That always works for me. It's like, oh, that's it. That's what I was going to say. Emily has another bit of it, which is who is your inspiration, both growing up and now within the acting world. You've mentioned Dame Judy.
I think, well, she has been an actress, and Julie Walters as well.
Yeah.
That I grew up with, and just, you know, and also they both are funny. They're funny. Also, what I really admire about them is they're private. So, and also they had the gift of not having to deal with any social media, but they also don't really do interviews that they don't want to do. You know, Their private lives are their private lives, and I love that about them, and that's an admirable thing. I think there is what you invite in, be careful what you invite in, because you can't then close the door on it. So which is why I don't do any social media at all, and I'm fortunate that I'd already got to a point before it sort of appeared. But I think if you show too much, it's difficult to then, I think, the actors I admire have some sort of mystery to them, so I'm allowed to believe in the characters that they want me to believe in.
Yes.
I knew too much about, all the colour of their favourite trousers, or I don't know.
Right. Right.
It sort of takes away that mystique, I think, for me. And Daniel Day-Lewis, I'm doing all the obvious ones, I know, but they're very private people who are brilliant at their job. I'm way off what the question was, I think.
No, that was it. Who was your inspiration?
Their influences to me, I think.
What? Oh, this is a good one. What? This is also from Emily.
Well done, Emily.
I know. What do you think is the key to maintaining consistent flow of work and longevity of a career? Again, maybe you've touched on a lot of these, really. I suspect, but maybe not. The key to maintaining consistent flow of work and longevity.
There's so much down to luck there, I think. I'm interested in, for sort of small, a short film or something comes in, and some people might think I don't do that anymore. I think that's exciting to do it. You're going to meet new people or a new writer who might, remember you later on. And there's, I'm not sure that I actually think about this at the time. I'm not thinking about my past, but it's turned out to have been a good thing to do, to not get too up yourself too grand,
Yeah.
Work is work, and it still can fulfill you. And well, I think that's it. If I now decided, I will only do feature films, I might not work again.
Yeah.
So I like doing bits of theatre if I can sort of cobble my stage right. I like, I think taking all sorts of things, and if you get sort of accolades for something, enjoy it for a bit, but put it aside and pretend that hasn't happened a week later.
Yeah.
Get back on it. You still need to work, and no one else will remember it either after a week. So crack on.
Yeah, that's a great one. Brilliant one. Lily, thank you. Lily, there's two parts of this. What do you think was the most valuable thing that you took away from your time at drama school? But then there's another little interesting bit, which is equally, what did training not equip you for?
I think the main thing I took from drama school was a work ethic. It was, there were so many people there who were so much better at sort of most of both the singing, the movement, everything. I was pretty rubbish, but then that was never going to be my forte, I think. So I really tried, but I was never going to be brilliant at that stuff. A work ethic. And I remember when we got there, the principal said, if there's anything else you can do that. Because so the odds of this whole class working are next to, at some point, some people will drop off. There won't be many who keep going. And sure enough, of my friends who haven't kept going, some of them had other skills. Well, I haven't got any other skills, which is quite useful. So I could really throw myself into this.
Yeah.
What other? I think that was my main thing I took from it, to be appreciative of what you've got. And I'm very grateful I didn't work for a couple of years. I've never forgotten that feeling.
And the question is equally, what did the training not equip you for, if you can think of something?
It didn't, because I suppose at drama school, you're going to be in something, that you're going to be cast.
Right.
At drama school, the horrible feeling of them not calling you back. So all those hundreds of auditions I did in the first 2 years, and they don't just say, sorry, no, thank you. You don't hear anything. That is heartbreaking. Just sitting by the phone waiting every time it rings like that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember I went up for one audition for something at the Barbican, and I was so excited, and I don't even remember what it was now, but I went to go and visit my mum for the weekend, and she went, oh, well, never mind, darling, chin up or something, just get over it. And I went, no, actually, I want to have a cry, and I want you to give me a cuddle. It actually means quite a lot, and this is on the back of 100 or so. Although they tell you that you might not work, it's still really hard to cope with that.
Yeah, it is. And it's for each actor, I guess, to find out how they deal with that, and that rejection and the disappointment and the sort of difficulty of, especially when you go out. I had a couple of people, there's always a couple of people in each year who go straight to nice telly or whatever, or go straight to a movie. Yeah. And then there's the others who are sort of grafting for, as you say, 2 years, a year, 6 months, whatever. Yeah. And that's really, really, really tough.
Yeah, but it's also tough. I mean, I wasn't one of the ones who went straight to a job. I did a little job in my final term, but it sort of, didn't. But sometimes you can go, well, we're laughing, and the come down from that can be quite hard. So it all sort of goes in. Yeah. You didn't get there straight away, you might get there later. If you got there straight away, you've got to keep working. It's
exactly.
There's no answer to it.
Exactly. Yes, you're right, because I remember that. Yeah, there was a friend of mine who did go straight into something, and you kind of look at them and you go, "Oh my God, it's all right for them." But then, as you say, it's what happens after that. Yeah. And it happened with Soap. So he was in it for a couple of years, and then the phone didn't ring for a while, and that was really hard. So you're right. You can't. It's a lesson in not looking at someone else and going, "Oh, it's all right for them." Yeah. Because you don't know where. It's all relative, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Each of us are different. And then Lily, the final bit of Lily's question is, how different was your approach to tackling the role of Queen Elizabeth in The Crown compared to playing a purely fictional character? Did you feel the pressure of there being a right or wrong way?
Yeah, much harder. Much.
And if so, how did you not let that inhibit you? I think it's really great.
Yeah, I think, well, that's through sort of experience of just going, I will do what I can, and beyond that, I have to hope that people will go with me. So the thing is, I mean, hair and makeup and wardrobe did 3/4 of my job for me. I mean, once you've got that wig on, no one else has that hair and the clothes. Okay, everyone knows who I am. That's big part of my job done. And then the voice, and then because behind closed doors we don't know what she's like, I had a little bit of play with that. But definitely, was that Lily who asked that?
Yes.
Lily, that was very insightful of you. It was actually the hardest part I've done, is someone who's real, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm quite pleased now to be able to move on to something else, because I loved being employed for 2 years. That was a lovely feeling, because I still get the fear that it's not going to happen again, and yes, don't panic about that feeling. That's really common.
Yeah, that's a good one. That doesn't go anywhere.
It really doesn't ever leave you. So I was grateful to have that, and I loved doing it. And the budget, because it meant every department felt fulfilled. We're thinking we want to do 14 horses, and we go, yeah, do it. Okay. So everyone was happy. It was, yeah. And I was following on from Claire Foy, who I watched, and I thought she was amazing. So there was all of that fear as well.
Yeah.
But don't read anything about it. When I have been weak and I've looked at Twitter, I've always regretted it, because I'll only remember the one mean thing someone says, and so I try, maybe twice a year I'll have a look, and I always wish I hadn't done it.
Brilliant, brilliant advice. Because it's so easy to get drawn into all of that world, and like you say, you remember the terrible. You only remember the terrible things, and then the good things, the compliments. You kind of think, well, you don't trust them or something.
No,
I don't know.
trust them. Yeah, I know.
This is why we're actors. When Dame Judy was on here, she's you will know how naughty she is.
She's wonderful.
And of course, she's incredible as well. And she has that very fascinating thing of being able to be very very mischievous and naughty, sort of in the right time. So I was trying to get her to sort of explain the rules of it's not about.
Well, see, Judy and I was very lucky to on Orient Express. I basically got to sit next to my goddess hero for an entire. They're just amazing. But she's absolutely naughty and a little sort of twinkle and trying to, would happily make you giggle during a scene. But the difference is, if the other person, because I didn't have, there was no scene hanging on me, so we were allowed to. Play and just make it fun, that sort of little fizzle. But if someone else was remotely anxious about what they're about to do, or if there's something is the weight is on that other actor, then you don't don't try and make them laugh, or not. I think you can tell when it's if you're trying to ruin it for them, you're being an arsehole. So it's you just do know. I think I'd give everything to them when it's their turn, or if they're worried. And
very, 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 very good advice for our students. Things that you remember, those things that you've heard, because at the moment we are studying and we're training and we're trying to manage lots of different characters and what we're going to be doing next term and all the different classes and stuff. But actually, what Olivia's saying about it's who you are as a person, how you walk onto that set, how you conduct yourself, how you talk to people, how you treat people, whether it's on set or whether it's in a theatre.
And it's all remembered. We all had actor stories of people who were unpleasant, unkind, ungenerous, and it goes around. And this is actually a very small pool, what we do. You discover that as you work, but remember those words, because those are very, very important things. We don't necessarily have classes about how to be pleasant to people, but actually it's really important.
Very important.
Yeah. Because you want to be asked back.
Say again?
You want to be asked back.
You want to be asked back. And as you were saying, it goes around very, very quickly. It's a very small pool. And it's that thing where casting directors will often ask, if you've worked with another actor before, what are they like? Or a director will ask if they'll call each other up. And people do ask and people do talk. So it's definitely something to hang on to and remember. Treat people well. Don't be an arsehole. And get on with your work. Learn your lines.
Rule number one. Yeah.
Listen, Olivia, thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it so much.
Thank you so much on behalf of all of our students and the whole school and every other student who might be watching and listening to this. Thanks so much for sharing that. Really, really appreciate it.
Honestly, those questions are amazing.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
We're done with your students. It would be much nicer experience all around. Thank you.
So, on behalf of all of our students, thank you very much, Olivia Colman. Thank you for joining us. Stay well, stay healthy, stay balanced, get lots of fresh air, but do it safely, and we will see you next time.